Okay, hello, Internet family. This is Anjanette Potter, also known as Adam's Rib, and you are listening to Monday Evening Quarterback. So let me pull up my notes here. So I had a few things I wanted to discuss. So you know that I usually do Monday Evening Quarterbacks, and this is usually me kind of catching up for over the weekend. Fridays I normally do Fridays not live Fridays live at midnight, or I will normally do a I will do eclectic weekends. So now Eclectic Music Geek. I keep forgetting the name of my own show. So Eclectic Music Geek is going to happen this Friday at midnight. I'm gonna check out my computer and put and get it all set up so I can go ahead and do this. We are in Music Monday season. I'm back with the vocal chorus at my old alma mater. So um, I'm looking at, I've been looking at America's Got Talent. And it's the All Star season, so it's been looking pretty good. They've got some pretty good people on there. Um, I also want to discuss the Tyre Tyre Nichols case, um, and dig into that. I want to discuss the Scorpion unit, the body cam footage, the officers. Looks like they are, and I'm gonna talk about that because his family's attorney has been asking about the white officer, like what happened to him, and he was one of the ones that tased him. We had a similar. It looks like they have um, dismantled the Scorpion unit. We had a similar thing here in Columbus called Operation Ace. And Operation Ace, this was during the 80s when the crack epidemic was a big thing. And I have never understood how you can really get a hold of something like drugs by starting at the bottom and dealing with the neighborhoods when they're not the only ones. When it comes, there's a chain, there's a hierarchy when it comes to the whole drug thing. And there are people that are higher, there are higher ups. It's just like any other business, there are people that are higher up that are really the main ones responsible for drugs being smuggled in. Um, because once you bust a crack house or you bust a drug house, all they do is find another place to set up shop. So all it did was, make it possible to profile black people of all, both genders. It just made it easier to, it just made it less, more likely for black people to be racially profiled and for there to be less restrictions on people being able to be pulled over. And I remember my friend's boyfriend, because what they would do is they would go into an area and they would not let you know where, they would go and get set up and then they would let you know where they were going to be. And they were in an area where he was visiting a friend of his, and his friend and my friend just kept saying, "Why don't you stay out of the area since your license, since your no, since your license is not where it should be, and they done already pulled you over once." And so he just would not stay away from over this guy's house, and he just kept getting pulled over. I'm like, why don't you stay out of there until they get done with whatever they're doing over there, and they move on to another area so you won't be getting pulled over as much. Because it seems like once they get a hold of your, paperwork, your license, and all of that, it seems like it is very hard to get yourself straight again. And once you get straight, it's almost like you keep having to get straight because they keep finding reasons to mess with you. So it's just awful. So, there's a few things I want to discuss on that case. Um, and there's also the Jason Whitlock guy. There's always some guy, there's always some person that wants to sit up and talk about black women. Black women are always the cause of something. We are not. We have nothing to do with this. This has nothing to do with us. Okay, this has nothing to do with us. Okay, and if you're going to go in on black mothers, why don't you go in on absent black fathers? These men who don't want to control their penis, but also don't want to father any children that they give birth to or cause somebody else to give birth to. So I'm going to go ahead and get into Tyre Nichols' case. Let me talk. So this information is from Wikipedia. So on January 7th, five black police officers from the Memphis Police Department severely beat 29-year-old Tyre Nichols, a black man, during a traffic stop in Memphis, Tennessee. Nichols was hospitalized in critical condition and died there 3 days later. Okay. So the officers stopped Nichols for allegedly reckless driving. They pulled him over. They pulled him from his car and used pepper spray and a taser on him. During the incident, Nichols managed to break away. When officers caught up with Nichols, they beat him for about 3 minutes, punching and kicking him in the head and striking him in the back with a baton while he was restrained. Released footage of the traffic stop showed Nichols never fought back against the officers. The five officers were fired on January 20th, and on January 26th, they were arrested and charged with murder, kidnapping, assault, and misconduct. Two firefighters who were on the ambulance that took Nichols to the hospital were relieved of duty pending an investigation. So they are now investigating them. On the 27th of January, the Memphis Police Department released 4 clips of edited videos showing the events between 8:24 and 9:02 p.m. An autopsy commissioned by his family found severe, extensive bleeding caused by a severe beating. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the United States Department of Justice both opened investigations. The release of body camera and surveillance footage led to widespread protests in Memphis and across the United States. So Tyre DeAndre Nichols was born June 5th in 1993. And as we've already mentioned, he was 29. Then a 29-year-old black man with a then 4-year-old son who was working for FedEx. He was also a photographer with his own website. Nichols was raised in Sacramento, California, and moved to Memphis in 2020. According to his family's attorney, Nichols had a slim build due to Crohn's disease and weighed about 145 pounds and had a height of 6'3". So now the officers involved, there were 5 black officers involved, and each had 3 to 6 years of experience. Some were members of the 30-person specialized hot spot policing unit known as Scorpion Street Crimes Operation to restore peace in our neighborhoods. A group of undercover officers um, that was assembled in October 2021 as a response team to deal with serious crimes. Scorpion officers drove unmarked cars and dressed in plain clothes, wearing bulletproof vests marked police. So hotspot policing, the technical name is predictive policing in the United States. The practice of predictive policing has been implemented by police departments in several states such as California, Washington, South Carolina, Alabama, Arizona, Tennessee, New York, and Illinois. Predictive policing refers to the usage of mathematical predictive analytics and other analytical techniques in law enforcement to identify potential um, criminal activity. Predictive policing methods fall into four general categories. Um, Methods for predicting crimes, methods for predicting offenders, methods for predicting perpetrators' identities, and methods for predicting victims of crime. And so, if you want any more information, you can go under hotspot policing and under Wikipedia and other reference sources as well. So let me see here. So the names of the police were Tadarius Bean, age 24, who was hired in 2020, August of 2020. Demetrius Haley, age 30, a former corrections officer who was hired in August of 2020. Emmett Martin III, age 30, who was hired in March of 2018. Desmond Mills, Jr., age 32, a former jailer in Mississippi and Tennessee, hired March 2017. And Justin Smith, age 28, and who was hired in March 2018. Okay. So Nichols was about 2 minutes away from his home when he was stopped at approximately 8:24, January 7th, near the intersection of East Rains Road and Ross Road. The Memphis Police Department initially stated on January 8th that the traffic stop was due to reckless driving. On the 27th, Memphis Police Chief Sarah Lynn Davis stated that her department reviewed footage, including body cameras, to determine what probable cause was, and they have not been able to substantiate that. It didn't mean that something didn't happen, but there's just no proof. So, if you got to see any of the footage, it just seemed like it went right into um, the incident. Usually in cases like this, you see some exchange of words, or things. This didn't even escalate; it just went straight to the violence. And so I'm not gonna read the whole thing because I think we've seen enough of the footage to But so there's a few thoughts that I have on this case. I won't lie to you. I remember I was hearing it on DL's radio show. Um, and what's her name? The lady Sybil. Um, from Tom Joyner Morning Show. She's now on DL show. So they were talking about it, and so I was like, well, when I heard they arrested him and charged him with murder, and I was like, well, excuse me, they really got him together. I mean, because usually it takes them forever to do anything, and they'll hold on to the cops for forever. It's like they'll do everything they can to keep from having to do anything. And then I saw the pictures of the cops, and I'm like, oh, so this is why they were so quick to do something, because they were pretty much all black. Now, let me say this, I am not pleading these guys' case at all. Because as far as I'm concerned, let them throw the book at them. They sat right there and basically murdered this young man. I'm kind of getting, for some reason, and I think it's a trick of an attack of the enemy. I just, even during rehearsal tonight, I just felt like incredibly tired. Like all of a sudden, I just felt really sleepy, and I'm like, okay, I'm like not about to let the devil. I done said I'm gonna do this. This year, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get more into the online ministry thing, and like really really do what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm not trying to and when you decide you want to do a thing for God, the devil decides right then, well, let me go ahead and get in here. And it's just been wild. So I saw the body cam footage like more than one time. I'm here to tell you now, it's deeply disturbing. If you have a sensitive spirit about you, you don't want to see it, because it is terrible. And as a woman, I have two children who are right around Tyree Nichols' age. My daughter is 28. She just turned 28 this month. As a matter of fact, she turned 28 on the very date that this whole thing happened. My son is 34. He will be 35 this June. So so my kids are right in that same age range. So I have so much compassion for this boy's mother and the parents, all the loved ones. It's just horrible. And but there's so much that isn't sitting right with me. He was 2 minutes away from his mom's house, and all of this was going down, and he's yelling for his mom, and no one seemed to see what happened. No one, like, I just need more information. And I know, it sounds like, well, no, I just feel like you know, these guys like savagely beat him. Like, this was savage. It was like I mean, I've seen people be on the police force less time than these guys did and still not murder anyone. It's just horrible. And I was going to discuss the amount of police deaths that have been happening due to the police. I'm not going to do it tonight just because, like I said, I'm becoming winded. But it's just horrible. I also wanted to talk about some other. So that was my first topic. Here they had protests here in Columbus this weekend. As a matter of fact, they had a peaceful protest on the state house, at the state house, that didn't seem to go bad or anything like that. So we participated in the state in the protests and everything. Um, I will be looking up I will be checking out as many updates as I can, and keeping track of this case. I think we all will, because it's just terrible. Also, So this Jason Whitlock guy, let's kind of go into him because Jason Whitlock is an American sports journalist, columnist and podcaster. He he hosts a program for the media company Blaze Media where he hosts the show Fearless with Jason Whitlock. Whitlock is a former columnist at the Kansas City Star, AOL Sports, FoxSports.com, and ESPN. He was also a radio personality for WHB, KCSP sports stations in the Kansas City area. He also played Division One college football at Ball State as an offensive lineman. So they tend to like to keep former football players around. So I don't want to go into his career, but I listened at his little remarks about single mamas, and this is I'm like, there's always somebody. I remember this saying, all skin folk ain't kin folk. He's one of the skin folk that ain't kin folk because this man, I mean, I listen to him and I'm like, why is it always one of our people who will get before the camera and decide, okay, it's time to go in on black women and involve us in some mess that ain't got a doggone thing to do with us, that don't got a damn thing to do with us, and has no bearing on the situation. And like I said before, if you care so much about single single mothers, why not mention absent fathers? Because these women are not getting, because women who get pregnant, women who have babies that they're raising by themselves, do not get pregnant by themselves. They get pregnant by men. And there doesn't seem to be anybody who wants to say anything about the fact that there are men in the world who, and I managed to meet a couple that don't seem to have no problem walking out and leaving a woman to raise children by herself. So I don't understand that. So it's something to chew on. But I'm going to go into my next topic and I may revisit this. So the next topic that I had was infidelity. So I was looking at one of my people that I like to look at, and she was talking about a case that was a black guy who was married to uh, a Latin woman, and he cheated on her with a heavy set black woman. Now, the Latin woman went on TikTok and I guess dragged the woman that her husband cheated with. I never understand why women go after the other woman. If your man is a cheater, and this guy copped to cheating, what, about 20 times? Okay, this kind of grinds my gears. And so I'm gonna talk about my own experiences with women who just for whatever reason thought I wanted their man. So I've had married men or men who were in a relationship hit on me. I generally tend to tell them no because I don't really want that type of situation. I don't mess around with married men. I've been cheated on before. It was not a fun experience, and I don't really like for other people's husbands to hit on me. I also had to deal with a situation. I've also, ooh, I also have had to deal with situations of other people's husband, um, not only hitting on me, but also other women who, for whatever reason, had a problem with me over their husband when I was never hitting on their husband. That craziness. But then also, and having to, do everything I could to show this person that I did not want their man because I wanted to be able to worship in peace. Yes, this took place in church, but it's been other places too. And so I had a question like, how much loyalty do other women owe each other? And when I say that, I'm not saying it from a standpoint of if I sleep with your man and I know that I'm sleeping with your man, expecting you not to get angry. Okay, I think that's a little silly. However, this is a man that you stood before God and witnesses on, and or planning to do that, and you still expect for other women to, well, you should at least find out if he's married. How about he shouldn't lie to other people about the status of your relationship, which they oftentimes do? Or they shouldn't lie and make like you're sleeping. Like, I've heard it all. I've heard that they're sleeping in separate bedrooms, like all of it. I'm only with her for the kids. All of it, and it's horrible. It's very, very horrible. And the thing of it is, when I see women going after other women and going crazy on other women, and then you find out that this is not this guy's first time cheating. In fact, the man has cheated about 20 times or more. Girl, why are you fighting other women? Why are you getting in their faces? Because no sooner than you get rid of that one, there will be another one to replace her if he is not ready to be done with that kind of life. I remember going through a situation in a church where not only was adultery like really, really accepted in this denomination, they got to the point where they were putting women in categories. And so they tried to put me in a category, and I'm like, okay, I have no desire to be a side piece. Where do you get this from? And we're going to talk about that even more. I'm not going to talk about it too much tonight because, like I said, I'm feeling like, ugh. But okay, it was Paris Milan who, shout out to Paris. But he cheated on his Latin wife with a dark skinned, heavy set black woman. Now, the side woman's admission, what there was a few things that got me. The side woman admitted to being used to being hid. She said, "Since I'm a heavy set dark woman, I'm used to being hid. So I didn't catch on to his behavior right away because after the Latin woman put her on blast, she made a you know she made an answer TikTok to talk about the situation and then tell her side of the story. And her side of the story was that she didn't know he was married. And I'm realizing that there's a lot of women out there that don't know how to check for whether or not a guy is married. And I can remember when I was younger, I'm like, well, I'm heavy set and dark, but I was not, I haven't been heavy all my life. But it's like when we were younger, one of the things that we were always taught, and I'm going to continue to keep saying it because it's going to continue to be true. If a man cannot be seen publicly with you, I don't care if he's a celebrity, I don't care what his situation is. If they make all kind of excuses for not being able to be seen publicly with you over a long protracted um, time, there's something wrong. When they can't be seen with you publicly, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. Don't fool any guy who can't be seen publicly with you. If they can't be seen talking to you publicly, they have something to hide. And it doesn't matter what color they are. White guys cheat too. When they can't be seen with you publicly, there's something wrong. Don't go for the okey doke. Okay, when it comes to infidelity, women don't really get a pass. I was watching this one account that I watch on YouTube called The Take, and they were talking about how women don't seem to be held up to the same standards. Yes. Women are held up to even higher standards because cheating is thought of as men's territory. We're not actually, when we cheat, it's though even other women kind of tend to treat us as though we are, messing up our own happy home. I know, right? It's a whole good man trope. The ability of so how do you overcome something like that? You either are going to make up your mind that you're going to work that marriage out, or you have to come apart from one another. There really isn't an in between. There really isn't an in between on that. Okay? So now I'm going to go into Music Monday. So, Music Mondays is something that I created as an extension of Perfect Pitch. Um, I want to talk about what constitutes music ministry, because if you looked at my posts, I've been talking about a lot about not quitting music ministry. So let's go into, we're going to go into scripture. The Bible explains that every good gift comes from God. James 1:17. Music would be one of his good gifts. He has given both men and angels the gift of music making. Genesis 4:21. Job 38:7. The purpose of music and singing is to rejoice and worship the Lord. Psalm 95, 1 and 2. So, believers are exhorted not to be drunk with wine, which is dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to each other in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. Ephesians 5, 18, 19, 18 and 19. The Greek word um, spirit, pneuma, pneumatikov, I think that is, means non carnal, humanly ethereal, as opposed to gross or, demonically. A spirit, concretely or divinely supernatural, regenerate. Therefore, Christians are to avoid carnal music. Carnal music would be secular music. So, praise and worship throughout Scripture. So, what we do, like when we're singing before the Lord in church, we're preparing to hear from God. So, I've talked about this before about inner court, about outer court, inner court, and the holy of holies, and the type. And so, outer court songs are usually um, up tempo, usually something to kind of get you into the spirit. The slower the songs get, the more intimate they're getting. This is when we start going into inner court, and then we wind up in Holy of Holies. So this is a pattern for the tabernacle. If you know anything about the tabernacle, in the beginning when God was commissioning the tabernacle to be built, He gave a pattern that was similar to the heavenlies. So these are meant to. The purpose of all of that is to till your hearts, like I said before. Once if you've ever seen anybody plant seeds um, into the ground, usually they do a little thing called tilling the ground first. They dig up rocks and they soften the ground so that when the seed goes in there, it'll be more likely to, implant and be able to. So let me go ahead and plug this in. My little thing is trying to tell me. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So when you are what you do is you're breaking up the ground to prepare it so that when you plant seeds in it, those seeds will take root and begin to grow, and so and yield you a harvest. So let me see here. So what we're doing when we are what we're doing when we're leading you in praise and worship and music ministry is we're getting you ready for the preached word, so that when you receive the word, you can receive a good harvest. um, Jesus talks about the word when he talks about the parable of the sower, and that's found in Matthew 13 1 through 23. I'm not going to read it, but the ground is your heart, so that you can receive the word and that it can be active in your life and bless you and bless others. So you want a good worship minister, and that's what I want to learn how to be. So when I talk about not quitting music ministry, it's because I've been having a lot of warfare when it comes to that. Whenever you decide to do something for the Lord, and I'm gonna come back later on this week. If I don't, if eclectic music meet doesn't happen, then I will be doing Friday nights at live at midnight. And I will be and even with eclectic music geek, I'll be talking this Friday. Either way, I'm going to address the whole issue of supernatural warfare that just seems to be where I am right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here, and wish you guys a blessed week. I will be doing something Friday at midnight. Trust and believe. So I will be talking to you guys again then. I'm going to go ahead and get off here because, like I said, I'm starting to fade a little bit. But I may talk to you guys this Wednesday, just to make up for tonight. So we will see. But I will talk to you later. You guys have a good week. Have a nice one. Peace out.